Hello y'all, I am back again for another video, and this video is going to be about passive aggressive breakups with narcissists. And I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking that I'm speaking about when the narcissist passively aggressively breaks up with you. However, no, that's not what I'm going to speak about on this video. It won't be the main subject on this video. I'm speaking about when people break up with the narcissist in a passive aggressive way and how it affects the narcissist, their life, their feelings, and their overall outcome, and how it affects them. So here I go. And how it affects them is this. The word miserable comes to mind. And I know friends and family members watch my videos, and they may not tell me always, but they do. However, if this person that I'm speaking of hears this video, please respect that I am not using your name. No one knows who you are. And I try to do my videos in the most respectful way as possible. So, with that being said, this individual is a man, someone I've known a very long time, someone that I love and care for, a very great person in some of his ways. So, of course, I named the video when the narcissist, or I began the video talking about when people break up with the narcissist passive aggressively, right? Or in a passive aggressive way. However, you got to remember, there's also a personality type called narcissistic. That's someone that does have empathy, but they don't have a lot of it. But they do have empathy. They're able to have cognitive empathy, and they're not so far gone where they could be diagnosed as a narcissist. But over a period of years, this person definitely would not fall under the personality type of an actual empath. And the reason that is, I'm going to be honest with y'all. When someone's narcissistic, a lot of times they have not done enough good deeds to be considered an empath. They have not given to charity. They have not helped raise some stepkids. They have not taken care of their elders. They have not raised their own kids, because a lot of times when they're narcissistic, they don't have any children yet in some cases. So one of the ways you will know an empath is when they've had a history of good deeds that are genuine good deeds, not good deeds that they're doing just to show off, not the political narcissist, not someone that's doing something just to get a reward. Just like I can name right off the top of my head good deeds that I've done throughout my life. Some of the good deeds don't nobody even know about except me. You know, you don't always have to, every time you do something, every time you talk to somebody, console somebody, every time you hand somebody a little money, you don't always have to broadcast it. Most empaths will have good deeds that everybody just don't know about. You might have forgot about the good deed. I've been in situations where someone has to remind me of something that I did for them that I forgot about. Whether it be a good word, a little money, the big tip you left on the table, an event that you spoke at and you said something that touched somebody's heart, a poem that you wrote, whatever. A kiss on the cheek, a hug at the right time. It's so many different small to big deeds that you can do. So, this individual gentleman, we have a lot in common, okay, when it comes to our grandmothers being a major part of our life growing up, living with our grandparents, the situations that our mothers was in, and things like that. The relationships that our moms had with their husbands and things like that. Maybe in some sense, almost feeling like, okay, the husband is a priority over us in some sense. Our mothers, I think, did the best they could do as far as apologizing, maybe making up for it in some kind of way. However, these are the things that we have in common in some sense, except I don't know, it's this person is still being affected by it. His mom just went through a divorce with the man that she basically kind of put him and his brother to the side for. So, what happens in these situations, okay, if you have two parents, there has to be an intervention. So, what happens is, I think a grandparent can be a good intervention into you not becoming a full blown narcissist. However, if there's continued pain throughout the relationship with your parents, in my case, my mom has passed away. I mended things with my mother before she passed away. I was on good terms with my mom before she passed away. However, with my friend, he's almost like a family member to me. With my friend that's been, involved with my family for all the years that I've known him and his brother, there's been a sense of compassion in the relationship, right? But what happens is, in his situation, his mother and father are still alive. And through talking with him, he oftentimes mentions how they don't reach out first. So both of his parents are very narcissistic. So even if my friend is almost like an empath or not a narcissist or narcissistic, whichever personality type he would have, it's hard when you have two narcissistic parents that are pretty much void in your life. In my case, I don't have to continue to go through it because my mom is deceased. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. However, if your parent, no matter how old you are, does not consider you a priority and you don't feel loved by that mother or father, it can be a sense of relief if they pass on. But like I said, in my case, my mom and I rectified things. We were fine. We had a relationship throughout the years. I love my mom deeply, even to this day. However, my friend, on the other hand, it's no closure to it because his mom is still doing it, right? And what I mean by still doing it, like she's not reaching out first. And this particular gentleman, he's been raised by a grandmother that's heavily in the church. His grandmother's actually a preacher lady. And so what I see happening is, over time, in my opinion, passive aggressive breakups are just sending him into a state of misery. He also said to me during the pandemic, I said, well, how do you feel? He said, I feel miserable. Now, when someone says that, that's a strong word. It goes beyond unhappy. Now, I have given the advice that I have given. And that's one of the things when someone's acting narcissistic at that time, they're hard headed, they're not listening. And I've been down that road too, y'all. Empaths go through the same stuff: hard headedness, not listening, not believing it. So, what should have happened is when he said he was miserable, it was in his best interest to stop dating. However, he didn't do that. He's now in another relationship. It's with a woman with some kids. Normally, he ends up a lot of times in relationships with women with kids. He doesn't have his own biological children. However, you got to be a special type of man with a special type of heart to really embrace a woman with children when she has children that's not the man's. And because of what he's gone through, the narcissistic area that he suffers from is selfishness. I've known him long enough to notice the pattern in his relationships, and a lot of it is selfishness. He has a selfish nature, which he has inherited from his narcissistic parents, which makes him show narcissistic behavior even though he has a lot of empathy in him. It's kind of like one of those type of situations where you know the person got a good heart. They're almost like an empath. Like he almost could be like an empath in a way. However, he just doesn't have enough evidence and proof of the good that he invests in his relationships because he's not willing to put his heart on the line with these women. He had an opportunity a couple of times to be with women that didn't have kids. However, the women aren't willing to wait around, like this new relationship that he's in. Once again, this lady is giving him till 2025 to marry her. I've also noticed a pattern that when he's with these women, okay, the other woman he was with, not this one. Let me go back to the other one he was with because I've known this gentleman a long enough time to know some of the problems in his relationship. So that woman, she wanted a child with him. She wanted to marry him. She wanted it fast. He said, wait it out a couple of years. This is something that he always tells the women, almost kind of like a stringing them along. Let's wait it out a couple of years. That particular woman had an affair on him, got pregnant by another man, and ended up having a son. She came into the relationship with one son or daughter. I don't remember. I think it was a son or daughter. I don't remember, but she did have an affair on him. They were boyfriend, girlfriend, and she ended up having a son. And so when that happened, me and this particular friend, we've always been kind of like we console one another. We're the relationship is built on a solid friendship substance. Okay. We were great friends from day one. So there's a solid love and friendship along with a spiritual attachment or bonding. Okay. I think this is a good man. I just think that he has a lot of problems because he has two narcissistic parents. I think he wants to be more empathic. However, he struggles in putting his heart out there for kids that are not his kids. However, he's missed out on what could have been some good relationships because at the end of the day, if that's what you keep dating, if you keep dating women with kids, settle down with one of them. If you're not, just stop dating them. At the end of the day, these women with kids that I have known that he's been involved with, they move on with their life and they're happy with their lives. I mean, these aren't like miserable women. And I also try to share with this gentleman the other side of the road. Just like when he was upset when the first woman cheated on him and kind of passively aggressively broke up with him. I don't even know if you want to consider it cheating. I mean, it was a breakup, but during the breakup process, she got with another boyfriend while she was drinking and out clubbing and had a son. But like I told my friend, I said, you know what? I get it. That hurts. But you told that particular woman to wait and she didn't want to wait. And you can't expect people to put their lives on hold for you. This is what I told my friend. I said, because just because you put your life on hold and you want to wait 2 years, that lady didn't want to wait. And I told my friend, I said, you don't never know what purpose that little boy that she has is going to have in her life. I said, she may grow old alone, and that little boy, which would have been her baby boy, he could be the one that's going to take care of his mom. I said, so when it comes to kids coming in the world, that's what the Lord wanted to give her. You didn't want to get a lady what she wanted. You didn't want to marry her. He was tripping because she already had a child when she came into the relationship. And I think that first child she had was a boy, y'all. I'm thinking back to this. I'm almost positive that that was a son, not a girl. So, yeah, it was a son. Yep. So she ended up with two boys. And I don't think they're on speaking terms anymore, but that didn't work. So here he is in this other relationship. This woman has an adult son, and then she has a 7-year-old daughter. And he mentions to me that, he doesn't always want to spend time with the daughter around. Sometimes he wants to spend time with just the mom. And I said, well, that's normal because even married couples want to do that. Sometimes they do things with the kids and sometimes they do things with just them. Say if a married couple has like date night or something like that. I said, that's normal. So he mentions that this particular woman that he's with, on one night when they were going to hang out or day, she mentioned that she couldn't go because she had to do something with her daughter. Now, that was the red flag that I picked up on right there. It just clicked right in my head. I said, okay, here's another woman with kids that's doing a passive aggressive breakup. So what she's doing is this. He's meeting women that's really family oriented and unselfish when it comes to kids. And I know those kind of women because I was raised around them. They have a certain attention. They're normally very empathic and they do better and normally respect men more that are able to embrace children that are not their own. Like I was raised around some empathic men, so they embrace children. If it's, you don't really even know the difference. Like if I'm around some of the empathic men that I was around growing up, they don't show no difference in the kids. You really can't even tell who kids is theirs, who kids ain't theirs, because they treat us all the same and they treat us all well. So these are the type of women. So he's actually, put it this way, he's running into women that's kind of the opposite of his mom. His mom was narcissistic, didn't put him and his brother first. However, these women or putting their kids first. So it's kind of a struggle for him, in my opinion, because it's a battle because he's meeting the opposite of his narcissistic mom. He doesn't like his narcissistic mom's behavior, but when he's meeting women that he's dating, they're showing the opposite nature, which is an empathic nature, and it's too much for him because he doesn't have the heart to take it on, and he hasn't made a decision to decide to love because he may struggle and have the inability to just put himself out there to love. So I also noticed the pattern this time where he mentions he had her wait a year. This is the new woman he's with right now. So he had her wait a year so that he could meet her family. Because what he's really doing is stringing these women along. However, these women that he meets, they put a time limit on it. Each woman puts about 2 years on it, just from the pattern I've noticed. Keep in mind, when you've known somebody a long time, you've consoled them and talked to them through their breakups, okay? So in this particular case, I also want to point this out. When the relationship first began with this particular woman, I already advised him of the risk and that it most likely may not work because his situation hasn't changed. And what I mean about his situation is his living situation involves some very strict rules. I won't go all into that because I don't want to assassinate no one. It's a comfortable living situation, but it's a living situation that does not allow him the freedom to go to the woman's house and stay the entire night and her staying the night at his home because he shares a home with a relative. So he's limited as to what he can do. However, due to his age, he's middle-aged. He's not old, but he is middle-aged. And so normally the women that he's meeting, they have their own place. So this particular woman, and I know these are empaths that are doing this to him, and I'm going to give you an example of why I know that. The way they do it, the way they know how to hit him in the right area. So in his case, he doesn't want to go full blown. He gets with these women with kids, but none of these kids call him daddy. He's not like taking on the child like it's his own, like an empathic man would. An empathic man is able to take on somebody else's child, and next thing you know, the child looking like him. He done took care of the child so long, now this child look like him. But however, my friend, he's not this type of man. He's not willing to put his heart out there. And that's a narcissistic behavior. And that's what a lot of narcissists are not willing to do. That's why their relationships don't work. Because they're not willing to put their heart out there like that. They keep that boundary and limitation that just doesn't work in the long run as far as building a real relationship. It just doesn't work. So this woman tells him, the current woman that he's with tells him, no, we can't meet that particular day or night because I have to watch my daughter. Remember, she has a 7-year-old daughter. Now remember, he mentioned to me that he doesn't want to always be around her daughter. So consider this. He's putting this spirit in this relationship. And this is one of the worst spirits you can put in your relationship. A spirit that you don't like the person you with, family, relatives, or people that are close to them. So it's super offensive to an empath when it's kids. And if that empath decides to do a passive aggressive breakup with someone that's acting narcissistic in that area, it will bring a lot of pain and sorrow and misery to someone that's either a narcissist or they're acting narcissistic. Or they could be a selfish empath. But see, one of the things I can say about empaths like me, I'm not going to put nobody through that. If I know I don't want to be no stepmama, I'm not going to lead you on and put you through that. I will even have enough love for you not to get involved with you. I was in a situation years ago with one of my friends, and he had a bunch of kids. And he was like, well, you going to be missing out. I think I would have had to cook for 6 to 10 people or something. And he was like, well, you missing out not being around me and my kids' Mother's Day. No, I'm not. I missed out on a bill because a lot of times with these type of narcissistic people, they aren't willing to bring the food. Like, you're not missing out on a $300 to $500 bill, y'all. You just ain't, for some kids that's not your kids, for some kids that you aren't adopting. I can see if you're like adopting the kids. So with me, I have enough empathy not to lead people on. If the man got 8 kids and they all running around with 2 diapers on, and I know I'm not going to be their stepmama, I'm not even going to start dating them. I already know up front I'm not going to do it. However, if someone's being narcissistic or they're a narcissist, remember, they have to have the supply. And so I think with my friend, where he acts narcissistic is he wants their bodies. He wants to sleep with these single moms. And it backfires because you got to remember, when somebody's a single mom, start looking at them different. Look at them like this. And I have background in this. I mean, I've been a single mom. I am a single mom. So single moms have business skills. I mean, think about all the roles they have to play. They're like the mom and dad. They're the budgeter. They're the transportation person. They're the educator. They're the, I'm going to give you some hugs and kisses because I love you. They're cooking. They're the provider. They're the teacher. They're the spiritual leader. They're praying with the family. They're the disciplinary. They're covering so many roles that this person is kind of smart and intelligent. They're experienced. They have to cover a lot of different roles to almost be like somebody's mother and father. Especially a mom that ain't bringing a bunch of men in and out of her house, and she's not really dependent on the system, and nothing against the welfare system, but I'm saying, a mom that she got to go out and be the breadwinner, and, other adults in the house pitch in and help provide and stuff like that. I mean, it's like a team environment. So they have a lot of skills which could help them navigate that passive aggressive behavior, and they can very well know how to get at that man. I've done it. And it was with a narcissistic man that hurt me very much and hurt me a lot. And by the time I got through with him, he was sitting up in his most miserable state, holding some weapons, like that was his woman. Because at that point, that's all he could build a relationship with was those weapons. And what happened with that particular narcissistic man, he was quite a bit older than me. So he was aging out. See, one thing about empathic women, y'all, I'm going to just share this with y'all. And I'm not saying all men lack in this area, but a man that's narcissistic or is a narcissist, he lacks foresight. The empathic woman does not lack the foresight. So we can kind of see ahead. While that narcissistic man or that narcissist is judging the woman, well, she's trying to make me be in a relationship with her. She's trying to put down some boundaries. Well, oh, she got some kids. I don't want to be a stepdad. While the man is doing all of that, the empathic woman can clearly see the man's weaknesses, especially if she's calm and she's thinking this situation out. So, what can really bring a man like that down emotionally is going through too many passive aggressive breakups. Now, with a narcissistic man or a narcissist, he gets fuel and he gets a thrill out of angry, deranged women that's acting like lunatics. However, if you're an empathic woman, just like I am, and you do the breakup without acting like a lunatic, even if he was able to get you riled up. And my ex-narcissist did. My ex-narcissistic man got me riled up. Trust me, he pissed me off to the point where I said a lot of mean things to him. However, once I calmed down and I could see that he was liking and enjoying that sick behavior, I shut that down and I became more passive aggressive. And that's when the destruction happened. Because, see, with his situation that I was in, I could see foresight. And what I saw was my ex narcissist aging out. Because, like I said, he was quite a bit older. And see, all of that, like they say, women hit the wall, so do men. And believe it or not, men hit the wall a lot more than you could ever imagine, especially mean men that really ain't got a lot going for themselves. Yeah, they got their jobs. And when I say a lot going for themselves, I don't mean in money. Things like their spiritual life is not on track. They don't have a hobby. They're not doing a small business on the side. They live in cradle-size little homes. I mean, they don't even feel comfortable in their own spaces. And I'm not downgrading a cradle-sized home. However, a lot of times these narcissistic men, they be one what other men have. They be wanting the big house. They be wanting the mansion. So they're not happy and content with their situation. It's not that the cradle-sized home is so bad. If you're retired or you're gonna retire one day and that's what you live in, that's fine. But these passive aggressive breakups by empathic women, and a lot of these women will have kids, as I do, it can bring a lot of pain to narcissistic men. And that's because these narcissistic men, they can't keep their thing in their pants. They don't see that that is what they got to stop doing. Because they have to have the supply. They have to be using somebody for sex. And a lot of them think that single women with kids is easy prey. So they can be predators. And then the single moms is easy prey. And it's kind of breaking my heart just to hear when I heard my friend on the phone And his voice sounds so much deeper, and it's a deepness of misery, like he's gone deeper in the misery. And remember, like I said, I got a spiritual connection with this gentleman, and my heart goes out to him. And I'm going to talk to him and explain to him too, because I'm always the empath that's in his life that's telling him what the women doing too. But the problem is he just can't stop taking the supply from the women, which is the sex and the company. I don't think it's all just the sex that he wants. I think he also wants the company too. And it's all just backfiring. I mean, it's just backfiring. And it's a very bad situation that he's in. And it just ain't working out, for his best interest as far as him being content. So passive aggressive breakups are very dangerous for narcissistic men and for men that are full blown narcissists. Now, if that man is a psychopath or he's a sociopath, which means he has antisocial personality disorder, it is very dangerous for an empathic woman to use passive aggressive behaviors in that breakup. And remember, I gave the definition earlier. It's an indirect way of let me look it up once again. It's a pattern of indirectly expressing negative feelings instead of openly addressing them. And so actually the empathic woman, she's actually mad with him. Okay? And she's finding a different way of taking it out on him, but there's an anger that she has. And the anger that the empathic woman has in these kind of situations is that she's angry that he didn't have the heart to throw it all in, or that he wasn't able to stick with the heart he claimed he had when he was in the love bombing stage. The stage where he was acting like he was all in before the switch up to, oh, well, we'll do 2 years and see how it goes in 2 years. And men, just be careful. The only thing I could suggest, stop using women for sex. Give your life to the Lord and get on a better road and pray more and cut out these relationships. The sex ain't worth it, men, because you're going to go down a road of misery. It's just not worth it in the long run. Please like, share,